I'm a Yo,
All
what's
right.
up? It's X. This is season 3 of What's Out Media. Today on the show is the homie, one of the founders of What's Out, Chris Hullett. How you doing, brother?
What's up, my man? I'm chilling. Blessed to finally be on the podcast here. Excited to get into it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Chris and I have been homies, running mates, whatever you want to call it, for years. Legitimately since we were like little children, and
I
we've
just put
grown.
it on a resume, 18 years. I did the math.
So it can vote now. Our friendship can vote now. So that's pretty amazing. Chris, like we're gonna still work. I mean, we're doing what's out. You do more of the photography side. I do like the, podcasty side, but I think it really works out. But let's talk about like how we've grown as individuals, in these last like 18 years. It's pretty amazing, man.
It really is. It's wild, from Teddy getting stolen on the playground and thrown in the trash to where we are today.
Man, Teddy, man, it's my teddy bear I got in Puerto Rico. And one day this kid wanted to bully me, man, threw it out in the street. Chris and I freaking out, bro. He like, don't worry, I got you, bro. And we figured out a deal, we figured out a plan, and we made it rock. We got it back. We got Teddy back.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, from us playing, I remember one day we were playing Army on the playground. And Miss Dixon was like, because we said we were about to go save these hostages up on the top part of the playground. And Miss Dixon was like, oh, like save these hostages. Like, what game are you guys playing? We are like, we're playing Army. We were like, oh, like we gotta run again the helicopter, like this, that, and the third. And it's crazy now because 18 years later, while I was working with the Forest Service, like we were landing helicopters right there. I was like, we were packing people up to get them winched up out of the spot. It was. I was just thinking about this the other day when I was teaching. I was, the poster that we saw a lot in teachers' classrooms that said, "Shoot for the moon, and even if you miss, you'll land among the stars."
Right. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just thought, I guess I really just came up with my own version of it, but I wasn't trying to like copy off that. I was like, you know what? Follow your dreams, and you'll end up where you should be.
I figured
Because
out. Yeah, yeah.
that's how I kind of feel. Because I'm hustling. I'm trying to get these. I'm trying to get picked up by a fire department, and it's while I'm like resume building, trying to going down this alley, going down that alley. I found some pretty cool spots job wise that I've been able to jump in with. And my most recent one here, working at healthcare, it has been a dynamic week for me. It has been something. It was people trying to smoke drugs in the bathroom. We have people having psychotic episodes at work. Like, it was the last week for me has been interesting to say the least. Kept me on my toes, and it was stuff that I wasn't even expecting. Like as soon as I get into work type stuff. So I was like, oh my god!
Now
But
check this out. Check this out. Check this out. So you're having adventures like right now. And we were like plotting adventures when we were younger, right? So now we're in these like real life scenarios, but we were like, as kids, like our imagination was just on, we're saving a day, we're about to go do this. So much hectic stuff is coming left and right. And we're like, we gotta prep for it. We were really like kind of like built that way. We were both outside thinkers and stuff like that. So we were always like, plotting different things. So now we're both in like two different areas, but definitely still like having adventures, like having, discomfort, getting through that. Like that's amazing.
hey, I when I worked in California, I thought about that. I pretty much got as close to achieving my fourth grade dream as some people probably actually achieve it to the T. But what did I say? I said I wanted to live in California and be an Air Force fighter pilot. That's what I said I wanted to do in fourth grade. And what did I end up doing? I lived in California for 2 seasons. I worked for the Forest Service. I think that was close enough working on the fire truck. So I was like, you know what? I'm not an Air Force pilot. It's not the same thing. But I did get to live in California and have a pretty exciting job. So I was like, you know what? We'll consider that a mission accomplished right there.
Now I remember writing down some things, and it was a little further on, like in high school. It's like, look, what I want to do is I want to coach rowing. and I want to be a journalist. I was like, whatever happens with that, that's what I want to do. Now that's exactly what I'm able to do. I'm like, dang, dude, like, I stress out about a lot of things, about like, yo, man, am I doing the right thing? Am I on the right path? And I'm like, well, let me look back to what I found, like a journal or whatever back home. I'm like, yo, I wrote this down. This is as part of like my goal sheet. I actually accomplished a goal. It's pretty cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I feel like the kind of to jump right into it here, the dynamic childhood we had prepared us well for the challenges we face today. For everything I had to go through at work, I was like, you know what? Like, I could. How it's like you've met, not you've, so you, not that you've met people before, but you met that type of person, and you know how to handle them. So then the more people you meet, the more experience you get, and so it's like, so there's something like problematic going on, but that person, and you know how to address it because
It's
that's
like
what
they're
happened.
archetypes. And it's
Yeah.
like, and it's crazy because I bet you feel the same way. Like, so you've been in Ohio, Colorado, and California, and I've been in Ohio, Texas, and Florida. And you might see the same person maybe in another area. You might see him when you're on a trip, right? So like there's like different versions, but you like that kind of remind me of a Jalen or like
Yes,
for
it's the same
example,
person.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I totally get it.
Yeah. So it was. I mean, I think it was nothing like growing up as Shaker the way we did was just. It was really like I don't think about it until I see people that didn't grow up like that. Like people that didn't meet a wide variety of people, like have a lot of like different stuff go on and happen to them in their childhood. So I was like, I really am fortunate for like my dad. He lived down Kinsman, so it gave me that side. It gave me that end of the spectrum. My mom and grandma living in Shaker. My grandma having a nice house with the pool. Like it was a nice two ends of the spectrum. I was actually just talking to my grandpa's brother about this a while ago. He really made me. He was like, you know what, Chris, like that really is something you got to experience growing up, seeing both sides, huh? And I was like, you know what, it really is because, and I was just laughing about it on. I saw this picture on Instagram the other day. It was a picture of a fried bologna sandwich with some mustard on a piece of white bread, and it said, if you never had this, I don't want to hear about how you had to come up. And I was like, I definitely had a sandwich like that before.
Look, that's amazing. And I feel the exact same way. And I think, a lot of people don't see the various, classes, right? Like we got some friends that are like struggle, you know what I'm saying? Like that's all they've known their whole life. We got friends who are like families are wealthy as all what, you know what I'm saying? So we get to see that variation and see the different lifestyles. And it kind of takes, at least for us, and I don't know if anybody else in Shaker had that kind of like, there's certain people in Shaker that have had that, but sometimes people will stay in their class, right?
Yeah.
And even if it's like different race, certain class, there's a wealthy Black class in Shaker, and they kind of, there's, what I'm saying, and then they don't look at if your mother didn't go to Shaker or whatever, it's kind of that stigma, right? But we were able to see the whole thing for what it was, and I think it made us more open to understanding, just different areas in general.
I mean, I definitely agree. Because now, I mean, just like I said, I feel like it prepared me so well to work in the fields I do. Because I know I can better approach people of different classes, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, where some people might be really nervous approaching them about certain things. I'm not. I'm like, oh, like met this person before, like know exactly how to address them, like it'll be fine. Stuff that you really don't even think about. You really don't even think about it, and you can just go forth and do. Compared to how some people are really trying to figure out the best way to approach it, and almost overthinking it.
Right. And question, what do you think? Do you think that we were in the best time in Shaker? I think now Shaker's kind of gone, it's a
the
little
class
different.
of 2016, the 99th class to graduate was 100% the peak, undoubtedly, without a mistake in my mind. I mean, hey, everyone is still yet to come forth and graduate. They just got to set the bar higher. But I mean, I think class as a whole, I mean, hey, I like the number 99 better than 100.
I think it's way
If you're
better, to
asking
be
me.
honest. I'd rather be, 99 than for all the way be 100. No.
Hey, 99, you're still excited. 100, the excitement's gone.
But no, let's talk about it. I mean, what I mean also is like, I think we had like the best arc of like just learning. Like the time that we were learning like right when the internet like really started to pop off. Like we had like, we had some like teachers who were like old school. We had some teachers that just had a whole different teaching model. Like we were able to like experience. This is when Shaker wasn't like, now it's really reserved, right? Like, so now they're really refined. Like they have to fit a certain mold, right? For whatever. But, at that point, it was kind of like freeing. You know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think I'd agree. It was definitely a wide variety of stuff in general. And you know how people ask what superpower could you have? I always say time traveling because I always want to see like what different times, different places were like. Because it's like we think that, I mean, definitely the internet part is true, like how we were there as the internet came to be. But then I would agree with you and say that it was a pretty wide variety of different styles and like textures going on at Shaker. These headphones just said the battery's low, but they told me they got 6 hours of life when I put them on. So, I think it is a good mix of the two. I don't know if it's always been like that. I don't know if Shaker does just always have that, the new like the new blood's coming in, the old blood's leaving, but it's just always on a different aspect, But I definitely do think that, I mean, with my teachers, it was a wide variety. We had the young people, we had the older people that were like 3 years from retirement. So, I thought it was kind of cool to see, different styles and how everyone taught. And I also really like being in band.
Oh, dude, band. I will give the testimony to band 100%. I might have to clip this up because, they follow What's Out Media on Instagram. So, dude, Shaker Band, I owe a lot to Shaker Band. I can't even lie.
Yes, dude. Sir. Shout out to Luke and Mr. Clemens.
Mr. Clemens, man, 4 years. Mr. K, man, shout out. Mr. Picaro, all of them, man. Yo, shout out to all of them because it was amazing. It was an amazing time. And when you look back at it, like you're like, okay, we did something pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? But I think at the time you're like, well, okay, yeah, I got to give up 2 weeks before school. I got to give up, first period. I got to give up some of my Saturdays.
For us, it wasn't even bad. So for marching band, for drumline, I mean, my personal opinion, I didn't even think it was. All right, so band camp wasn't the best, but it was okay. Like, it was like we all liked what we were doing and we wanted to get all the cadences dialed, so we were into it. And then honestly, for me, for the football games, the Saturday afternoon games were kind of slow, but the Friday night games went.
Like Friday night games were amazing. Those are my.
I was never hot about having to go to a Friday night game.
No, I would be hyped.
I'd be looking forward to it, especially if it was a school that I knew we might be able to battle. Like if there was a battle going on a Friday night, like yo, there was nothing hotter than Friday night drum battle.
Yeah, what I was saying was just like the average student. Like, I kind of hear this now from some of my athletes. Now they're like, yeah, I'm in marching band. I got to do all this. I got to do all that. And I'm like, look, you should appreciate it because when I was doing it, I didn't appreciate it fully. I did appreciate those moments. I love the drumline battles. I love Friday Night Lights. Like, I love going to another school, getting heckled and being like, man, bunk all that, man. Let me play y'all the fight song right in your face type deal. Like, dude, I love that aspect.
Do you remember when we played, I think it was Mayfield, it was a Friday night game. We got there like right around sunset and we were about 3/4 of a mile from the stadium where the buses let us off. So we marched in parade block.
Yeah, that was tough.
Hey, that was pretty tough.
that was tough.
That was, bro.
Mr. Clemens, man, he was like a military, a goofy one, though. You know what I'm saying?
Commander, bro.
Really, like, but for real, he was the commander. Hey, and we was all ready. Hey, it was going. And then we were able to play on our like local news. What was that? Our senior year?
Oh yeah. I'm
Yeah, dude.
that like Thursday or Friday morning.
Kicking it with Kenny.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. No, that was amazing. Just all of that in general was amazing. I always had a lot of fun in band. I myself, though, I'll be honest, I love concert band. And let's talk about this real quick because this topic probably will never come up in any of our other podcasts. I don't think anybody ever will mention this, but we were in people called it the struggle band, right? In middle school.
I mean, I would say you talking about the middle school band or the high school band
The
because
middle
it
school.
applies to both.
Right. No. But middle school, this is like a kid. This is like an all-star roster of people in one classroom. And we had a lot of drama, but we also tried to play our best. But all the other bands didn't give us the respect. This is like seventh grade.
Then I busted out my drum solo on the first concert.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. My papa, my grandma, they would clap, but they were like, oh, Chris did so amazing.
Hey,
Chris,
I think that was the first nerve-wracking thing I've ever done, bro. Now, and honestly, I don't even know why. I don't even know. I had to have asked to do that.
you
And
did. Well,
for
so
extra credit, I guess.
yeah, they were like, okay, volunteer, and I'm gonna like bump you up 15% or whatever. And you were like, yo, I'm game for a solo. And then everybody was like, oh, Chris about to go for a solo? He gonna go for a
Dude,
solo? Looking back, and hey, I remember when you did it. I'm like, yeah, that's my boy. That's my boy. That was amazing.
that was the first true stressful thing, bro. I've never been hotter than when those spotlights hit me. And when those spotlights hit me, and I was the only one standing. I had to bring my snare up front, set it up. I was the only one standing up there, and I was melting under those spotlights. I guess this was a character building experience because the more I think about it, telling this story, I was melting under them spotlights, and I was so nervous. I knew I could play my whole piece through. I was practicing after school, and so I start to go, and I got nervous, dude. I was about to pass out, honest to God, and I had messed up and like clicked my sticks together by accident. But I guess this was the character building experience right here, this exact second. Instead of like losing my composure, I clicked my sticks by accident, messed up. I just stopped. I didn't play the rest of that measure, the 4 count. That's a measure, right? Yeah, I didn't play the rest of that measure. Then it started right back in on the next measure, and it taught me how, for me, the best way to deal with a mess up and recovering in the heat of the moment. And I guess that's what taught me to keep breathing through stressful situations.
Keep pushing.
Because through my life and through the like real stressful situations I've been in my different jobs, I'm always just like, I breathe through it, and then all of a sudden it's over. Like I just, it's just like, all right, like I'm gonna do what I've been trained to do, what I've been told to do. I'm just gonna keep breathing, and then all of a sudden it's over. And it really wasn't that bad until you look back at it and you're like, yo, that was nuts. But in the heat, because how some people will fold. Some people will be like, I can't do this, like completely break down. I was like, all right, Chris, like just one breath at a time. And then all of a sudden it's done. Easy, like just as soon as it started, it's done. And I think it was that drum solo that beat it into me.
And I think think about it like this as well. It's like, yeah, dude, there's gonna be stressful situations. You're gonna fuck up during those stressful situations, but you got to keep going in order to get that goal, managed. And when you're in an emergency, yeah, man, you might have forgot to bring something. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. But at least you're getting them to where they need to be. You know what I'm saying? So like, I definitely get that. And who would have thought that you could translate, something as like a drum solo in middle school band to something, in
Dude,
real life.
The more I think about it, the more drumline and rowing like instilled leadership, camaraderie, and team building, honestly. Because, by the time I got to be a section leader in drumline, I was like, I had my bass drums to take care of. And then a concert band, I had this percussion section I had to keep under control. You remember in the dungeon percussion was, we had all the worst instruments down there, and I had to deal with all them bad little underclassmen, like run around, playing on their phone, and I just had to, I felt like I had kids. Bro. I was like, yo, because I had to keep all 8 of them under control. And then in drumline, going to games and stuff, make sure everyone had their stuff put together. making sure like all the drums were where they needed to be, everything like they were all properly maintained, and then going to Spain, making sure all these kids were acting right and not getting lost. Definitely taught me some good, not some good leadership. And then with crew, dude, I think I told you I had to text Coach V. I had to send him a Facebook message my first year on the engine, and I was like, Coach V, like I did not realize the benefits you and crew did for me in the moment until we were out here training in the rain, like doing hose lays in the rain, which is it's it's stupid because you'll never do a hose lay you probably won't ever do a hose lay in the rain in real life. But we were doing them in the rain just for like spring training type stuff. So so I had to write Coach V a letter. I was like, yo, like the integrity and grit that was ground into me during crew rowing when it was 35, 40 degrees out on the water and just being out there with the boys, I felt right at home, like out here being cold and wet, doing these hose lays with the crew. I was like, Coach, like I never thought it would come full circle like this. Like the physical fitness, the grit, the integrity, like without, I was like, oh my God, like without crew, I don't know where I'd be. Like I don't know how much grit I would have if it wasn't for team sports in general, but especially crew. Like those middle school lacrosse practices in the spring were crazy cold. How we were out there in that blacktop behind the gym, and it was still snowbanks out there. We were out there in shorts and like lacrosse pads, and maybe in a long sleeve shirt. That was also tough, because now I'll be sitting out here on these. I'll be overnighting on fires, cold, windy, and it might be rainy. I'm like, well, I've been here before, so I know I'll be okay.
You know, I was actually looking at some photos recently of us at a regatta. I think we were at like Lake Dillon, and a huge storm had gone by, and we were just sitting there out there in the tent, just chilling. Like we were like cool, but it was like muddy as all what. It looked like crap, and I'm like, dang, I didn't realize that weather was that bad or whatever. I thought we was just hanging out. I thought it was a normal day.
You know what I remember from? I think it was probably the same day when me and Pete made a gutter between the two tents out of a tarp because it was getting all over. We took it to, I was like, crew really put us together. We took that tarp, strung it up between the two tents, put like a grate on it, and made us a gutter to keep the rain out from between the tents. I'm saying, bro, like it was a strong integrity building opportunity. And I don't know where I would be without it, honest to God. Did I tell you that I met a girl in Peru from Zanesville, from right by Lake Dillon?
From Zanesville, Ohio?
Yes, dude. I'm at the top of Machu Picchu. And it's like a couple people from Europe. And these two girls are trying to get a good picture in. I was like, you want me to take it for you? They were like, yeah, sure. And I get to talking to them. And the one girl, Carly, she was like, oh, I'm from Ohio too. I was like, oh, no way. Where from? She was like, Zanesville. I was like, what if I told you I've been there? She was like, why? Like, why have you been there? I was like, we rode on Lake Dillon for Midwest. She was like, I lived right by Lake Dillon. And then I was like, this is blasphemous. Like, this is blasphemy, dude. Like, no, never in 1,000 years did I think I'd meet someone on the top of one of the 7 wonders of the world.
But that's dope.
From Zanesville.
That is truly amazing.
Then I didn't realize that was the town all them exotic animals got out in like the early 2000s, late 90s. Dude that got killed or the dude. No, dude,
we were in middle school when that happened. Yeah, no, that's real deal.
Yeah, she said apparently it was all crazy. I was like, oh shoot, okay. That was wild. I was like, get out of here. Crew out here finding me friends on other continents.
That's amazing. What was your favorite regatta?
I mean, dude, they were all just so memorable for so many reasons, bro. Peru was honestly fun because we got to go on all of our little tours all the time. Hey, that St. Mary's regatta was always nice though. Like that regatta was never bad. That clear water, the weather was always nice.
Up there in Michigan was my
That was the last one of
favorite one.
that was the last one of the season always, wasn't it?
Yeah, like right before Midwest.
Yeah, because that's why the weather was always nice. And dude, that water was crystal clear. That place went, bro. That hotel was super nice. We had those were guys. We had the best food, best hotel, best conditions.
And I posted a photo for your birthday one year, and Coach V saw it on Instagram. He's like, I did not remember like sending you guys here. Like, no way did I send you guys here. And I'm like, yeah, Coach, like that was our favorite regatta.
What, St. Mary's?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the other ones were fun too. Like Pittsburgh was really fun just because like rowing on that river, the way it's positioned with the city was super cool. And like driving, I remember because I had to go to the coaches and coxswains meeting, so we had to be there super early. So I remember we went through that tunnel because this was right when Perks of Being a Wallflower came out, and that tunnel had all the hype. So I remember we went through that tunnel, and then like boom, we were in the city. And I was like, oh shoot, like this is pretty cool. And then we were there and like got to go row like right there, like next to Pirate Stadium. They had that big rubber duck too. I was like, yo, like Pittsburgh's kind of the city, bro. Then taking those trips over there to the tanks in the winter. I was like, yo, like Pittsburgh, like, you know, we really didn't even get to see the city all like that. We saw only super small blocks of it.
Right.
But just like the kind of the vibe I always had of Pittsburgh, I was always like, yo, like this place seems kind of nice, honestly. Like this place seems kind of lit. Like, you know, there's Cleveland Pittsburgh beef, but I was like, you know what, like respect to Mac, like respect the home of the Mac. Like Pittsburgh might be a pretty cool spot.
Now I loved going underneath those bridges during races.
Yeah, because we went under bridges, like 5 of them.
Yeah, and the bridges honestly were like good mental like notes for me during pieces. Like I would be like, okay, we're down that one. Okay, keep going.
That yellow bridge. The yellow bridge was the last one, wasn't
exactly.
it?
Yep.
Because yeah, once we hit the yellow, it was like 1,000 meters left. So it was like, all right, crank on them. You know what kind of gets me now, bro? Is the gym I go to doesn't have Concept 2 ergs.
Well, they use the water ergs.
No, they have these weird ergs that they're still God, what brand are they? They're made the same, but the monitor is different, and it is not accurate.
I think that's kind of Concept 2's big advantage is that they just have like such a good like computing system. Like it's so
it is
cool.
Because I'm sitting there cranking, and I watch the splits like very wildly. It'll say it'll go from a 50-second split to like 145 to like 106. And you know the power involved to change those splits.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like rowing at a constant rate. I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, what is monitor on, bro? I've become an erg snob, bro.
No, I think that's anybody that has actually rode. I mean, that's what you're used to, and that's actually it's the best erg. Like, you know,
if I ever get rich, if I win the lottery, I'm buying a Concept 2. I'm buying an all black Concept 2.
I mean, yeah, those are mad common. I mean, look, hit up the Rome World right now, man. You could find them for a good price.
Yeah, I should try to get a used one or something.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, especially if they're in Colorado, but you're a lot of people over the pandemic that bought themselves an erg
and they like, don't use it. I bet you I could get one for $100.
Nah, no way. So, Chris, yeah, let's talk about Peru, man.
All right. I left Denver on a red-eye flight at midnight, and the lady sitting next to me would not stop talking. I was ready to go to bed. She finally got up to go to the bathroom, and I jumped under my hoodie and put my head straight on the table and played sleep until I fell asleep. So, boom. We get to Panama City at like 6 o'clock in the morning. I never want to go to Panama from how humid it was at 6 a.m. It looks cool, but that humidity is no joke. So we bumped from Panama down to good old Lima, Peru. This is pretty cool. So like we're coming in, we land, like staring out the window at everything. Nothing really seems that crazy. So I'm in the cab, leaving the airport, and then Max told me, he's like, "Yeah, bro." I saw Max the day before I went. Max was like, "Yeah, bro, like it's a second world country, so like, just know,
Protect.
we are in the taxi leaving the airport." And dude, I wish I had my camera out and wasn't recording because it was like a scene. It was like something you would have seen from like Anthony Bourdain, like a Destination Unknown. The traffic was so crazy. Just like no rules, no rules. Motorcycles like zipping by within inches of the mirrors, like just dude, it was just crazy. It was just chaos. It was mass chaos. And we drive through like the poorer part of the city. I was like, oh, Max was not kidding. It was like I call them flabellas, but I guess they call them more like the shanty towns.
Mm-hmm.
It was like flabellas and stray dogs and like it was a second world country, bro.
Right.
But then we get to where I was staying, pretty nice hostel. I forget the name of it. I should look it up because honestly, shout out that guy. I'll put it in my Peru post on the website. But this place was a pretty nice hostel. I had my own room with bathroom that was right on the front of the hostel on the second floor for like $12 a night. It was super solid. Like had a TV. It was nice, dude. Like these nice big windows. It was super solid. Only down part was every time someone rang the doorbell to get in at night, I heard it clear as day.
Which is okay. For
yeah,
$12,
Yeah, but otherwise, dude, it was. So the hostel was super great. I get out in the city. I'm wandering around doing my thing. See, what did I do first? I think I went on a city tour first. So I went on a city tour to downtown historic Lima. That was pretty cool. Oh my God. So when I went, it was like during all the civil unrest in Peru. I don't know if I'd be able to go like the day before because they were like in martial law for like 2 days.
Wow.
The riots they had. And because it was right during the invasion of the Ukraine. So that's when gas was through the roof and like everything was suffering from crazy inflation and all the people were blaming the president. And then there was all this other stuff going on with their political system too that was like just all coming together at the same time. So I get there, go to downtown city center, like a lot of tourists, pretty heavy police presence, nothing crazy. And then we go back to the hotel. I'm trying to think everything I did in chronological order. I was just really wandering around Lima for the first week, just kind of going to all these different places. I think, I ended up over in Barranco, which is a pretty cool. I was staying in Miraflores, which is like the Manhattan of Lima, right by the ocean. So I was staying there. I ended up going to Barranco for a couple of days. I made some friends on the city tour. So then some of their friends were in Barranco. So we went over there, checked that out. I found it super cool. So Barranco's everything on the coast there. I'm walking down the coast of Barranco towards this big cross I see on this hill. So the closer I get, the more sketchy it's getting. Like it's obviously like not really the touristy area anymore. It's like, but it wasn't really a bad neighborhood. It reminded me of Cleveland Heights, honestly. So I'm like walking through Heights and I get to the base of this hill. I was like, all right, the cross was up there, but it was obvious that this hill was not the best neighborhood, bro. So I was like, I'll be all right.
So what happened?
So I'm like on the fence about it. But there's a fair amount of cars coming up and down the road. There's people in like on $3,000 like mountain bikes on the road. I was like, all right, well, if they can keep their $3,000 bike on them, then I should be okay.
You should be chill, right?
Yeah. So I walk up through this neighborhood. It was like favelas, like just on the left side of the road.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is an odd dynamic. So I walk up the road till this like walking trail starts. It's like obviously it looks to be a shortcut to go straight up the hill instead of like all the switchbacks the road does. And so I was like assessing it. I was like, like not really anyone else on. It looked like there were like 2 homeless people on it. And I was like, like definitely limited ways out. if someone tries to like corner me in over here. But I was confident in my hill climbing capabilities from working with the feds, so I was like, all right, I'll be fine.
Right.
I had my Hokas on. I was like, I will run off. So so I go up this hill. I was fine. Get up there. This cross is super cool. It's like a weekend. It's definitely like a go up there, like unwind, like smoke your cigarette, like hang out and like watch the sunset over the city type spot for locals. So there were a lot of people up there. So I took a second, just hung out, watched the waves, like just chilled up there. I turn around, boom, picturesque setup of, I think it was a red Volkswagen with this guy leaning on the hood, just like it was, the juxtapositioning was perfect. Like right under the cross, I was like, this is a perfect picture. Snapped it. After that, I went and walked around. There were all these like abandoned monuments up there of like, so it would be a monument just on a dirt pad with like no plaque or anything. And, you know, like nothing fancy around it either. It was super desolate up there too. And it was right above the favelas. So I was like, kind of suspect.
Right.
So I'm just like walking around up there. Got some cool shots of like above the city. And then there's this big picture. I think it was Jesus. There was a big picture of the giant monument of Jesus, like in the cross above these favelas. And I was trying to I was walking over there to frame it right, to get a picture.
Right.
And I ended up walking. So there were these two like real federales right by the parking lot for this cross. And so I'm like walking towards them. At first, the lady selling snacks is just like cracking up. I was like, all right, she knows something. Then I have to get close to these two federales. They're like, whoa, bro. They're like, this isn't like Spanish and English. They're like, bro, what are you doing? I was like,
chilling, trying to get around. Yeah.
They're like, you need to get out of here, bro. They're like, this is not a good neighborhood. I was like, yeah, like I could pretty much infer what kind of neighborhood this is. Like,
I got eyes.
But okay, I got you.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, like you need to get out of here right now.
ASAP. Damn.
The sun was starting to set. I was like, they were on dirt bikes too. They didn't have rifles or anything though, and they didn't have helmets either. They just had bulletproof vests. So I was like, well, y'all aren't armed to the teeth, and you guys are obvious like cops in up here, so it must not be that bad. So I was like, all right, like I got you, like I'm out. So I get my pictures in and I boogie the other way. And there was only one sketchy moment. This pack of people on scooters like was coming up from behind me. I was walking down this like road back towards that cross.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they were gonna pull up on like a drive-by and rob me, because they were looking kind of suspect. But you know, because I've seen suspect people before, I kept my wits about me, just chilled, and I was fine.
You know, there's one thing I want to mention a little bit about like adventure, about just, you know, judging people, not even like judging, like prejudging, but like, you know, trying to figure out a vibe to see if you're in an unsafe or safe area. I think when we would explore buildings, abandoned buildings and like factories, I think that's when like we kind of got like real adventure in us and kind of were able to judge character.
That would be pretty fun, bro, when we did that. Like, I always like to go when it was kind of rainy, after it like just got done raining, because then it's like the buildings would be like dripping on the inside. And then you had the cool puddles and stuff too. That was pretty fun though. I really like doing all that.
And we made it a day of it. Like we did that for a whole, like that would be our whole Saturday. That was amazing. I always had a lot of fun. I don't even know. You think a lot of people have that like experience, especially probably in the Midwest, but do you think people have experiences of doing that?
Other people I've talked to in the Rust Belt. So it's funny because I've met a good amount of people from like the Midwest and from the Rust Belt that would do similar stuff.
Yeah.
And some people, so there's the people that have only like been in one building. Then there were the people like us that have like been in a lot. And those people, no matter who they are or where I am, I always click with. I'm always like, oh, like I'll tell the story about when we were at the duck factory and we had to like run out that back door.
R.I.P. the duck factory, man. R.I.P.
It was half burnt down when we went there, bro.
I know.
They finished the job that one day. But yeah, I think that definitely was like not character building, but good life experience. Like having to deal with whatever you were presented with, like when you came around a corner in one of those buildings.
And then if you saw someone else there, like you had to be like, yo, are we cooling? Like we walked past
because
like,
it's like when you would see people on the other side, like that building on 55th, when you see people, because you had big lines of sight in that building.
right.
So you like see someone else on the other side, and it's like that second where you both like where both groups look at each other. It's like, and then it's like,
What's that sound?
Yeah, it's like, all right, like we're both doing the same thing, or like that's a crackhead, or whatever's going on. So it's crazy how popular that building got. You remember we were there the one day, there were people taking prom photos.
Yeah. It ended up being a whole thing. Like, but I remember when we would just be in that boy. I remember we were in some where we were like, oh, we got to run out of here. And I'd always get scraped up because I fall running.
You fell. I remember this exact moment super vividly, and I think about it and laugh all the time.
It's like a movie.
It was that other building off Woodland.
Exactly. Yep.
Also, I'll be thinking about it at work because people will come in with abrasions like way not as bad as because yours wasn't horrible, but people come in with like scratches. I'm like, dang, like Xavier's lucky that did not get affected when you fell in that dirty parking lot. But yeah, I remember that exact building off Woodland. I remember that exact day because we went to Big Al's after, didn't we?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that exact day. That building was definitely one of the worst condition ones we'd been in.
Oh yeah, it was rough.
Because that stairwell was burnt.
Bro, I was just gonna say that stairwell was crazy, man. I was like, and then we had to go another way to get. It was like you were trying to find the stairways to get through. Man, I think that is just like a Rust Belt Midwest just type like great thing that kid. I'm not like saying kids you should do that, but it was a great thing.
It was. I thought it was good. Like I said, it was good, like situational awareness and like practicing or just getting good experience in sketchy places. Yeah, I mean, it definitely
situational awareness is one of the biggest things, and it's like you've had that experience now when you were in Peru, but it's like in other areas too that you've gone, but like situational awareness is key. That is something that I stress anywhere I'm at, to be honest.
I mean, you really always have to have it. Like, look up, as the Forest Service says, look up, look down, look around, and do it constantly. We went on a medical rescue for a high voltage pole. Had two workers were climbing it, and it collapsed on them. And we got the same time as rescue squad. They're like getting all their gear, ready to hike in. The workers at the top of this hill, like, hey, like we're up here, and so we're hiking in. All of a sudden, this is the first time I've ever publicly told this story. All of a sudden, there is a steel cable the diameter of my thumb right in front of me on the ground. I was like, what? A lot of times you find a lot of garbage in the woods. And I look left, look right. I was like, oh my God, this is that high voltage line.
Bro. It would have been
when the tower came down, the line fell down too. So I was like, yo. I was like, hold on. So I hollered up the hill. The guys were like 40 feet in front of us, the workers. I was like, hey, like, this is a live wire, isn't it? And they were like, yeah, but it's locally grounded. So it's fine, but try not to touch it. I was like, what do you mean it's fine, but try not to touch it? Like,
what are you talking about? Right?
So they were like, if you do touch it, you should be okay, but definitely try not to. So we had to do the limbo of death with all these packs on to get under this wire, then go get to this guy and treat him. So SA from exploring those abandoned buildings definitely caught me that day because I was the first one going up the hill. So I was like, oh my God, like I was the first one to walk up to it, and no one else had noticed it yet. I mean, I should have been looking for it in the first place though, because the high voltage lines run right along the road. So It should have been something I was already thinking about, but I put it together fast enough. Anyways, back to Peru.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first week I was there, I just chilled in Lima, took some pictures, wandered around. Now I went over to Cusco, had to fly there. Cusco was not as nice of a city as I thought it was gonna be. It was a fine city, but it was a lot more second world than I thought it would be. They only have only some buildings have running water for a certain amount of hours. And otherwise, like if you go to wash your hands in a bathroom at like night, and sound like someone tried to kill the chickens outside, but they're all right. Yeah, like I walked in some bathrooms, like the sink didn't work, toilet didn't flush. I was like, oh, ran out of water for the day.
Just to make sure. You always got to make sure.
So that was like the biggest surprise. And then there were more protests. Oh my God, I forgot. When I was in Lima, I was getting text messages from the embassy talking about the planned demonstrations and protests for like Thursday. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, I don't plan to leave the city that day. So what do? I go walk in the protest with them.
You went out there.
So I just, because it was starting, the gathering point was a block from my hostel. So I was like, I'm gonna go. so I went. I just missed them because I was still trying to get lunch to take with me. So I'm like jogging, dude. I walked for miles. I'm like jogging. I can barely see the police behind the march, like for miles. So I'm like jogging to catch up. Finally catch up to him. Almost gave up once. Finally catch up to him. Get in the parade, and I was talking to some of the local media people there. They were cool. A couple of them were like same age as us too. So I'm just walking, taking pictures, and we marched all the way to the downtown city center.
Wow.
And it was a neighborhood that the tour guide was like, I mean, at this point, dude, I was like, all right, Chris, you're kind of in deep. Like, don't know how you're gonna get home.
Right.
So they said like this because the tour guide said that was like a bad part of the city, and it was like locals only, like not really any tourism. It was like hit or miss, kind of on a block by block basis for what was like normal apartments and like ghetto. So I was like, wow, like good luck getting out of here, Chris.
Right.
So we get all the way to the city center, and it was crazy. This is something I'll like never forget. The way we came in, like it was all the president supporters were in the middle of the square, and everyone that was like opposed to the president was like marching around the perimeter of the square. And the way we walked in, we like walked in right at one of the corners, and it was like all these different neighborhoods came out. So like the one neighborhood group stopped and like we're cheering and clapping because the neighborhood group I was with like finally showed up and they let us right in. It was crazy, dude. It was.
So what did you learn off of that? Because that's kind of a concept that I don't think really much Americans have seen. I mean, obviously you see it on the news, but what was that like being in it?
I mean, they were upset about the exact same stuff that was going on in America, like inflation on gas and food, and also other stuff about the president. That was a lot of the. So the way it seemed to be was a lot of the. It seemed to be pretty similar to the political split in America. Really? A lot of the rural farmers were in favor of the president, and a lot of the wealthy elite were in favor of the president. It was really like the working class, middle class people that did not like the president, and they were like saying that he needed to resign. And so I was like walking around talking to all these different people, just trying to figure out like what everyone's upset about in both sides. And this is going on in broken Spanish and English based on who could speak what. And it's like the tension was kind of like building between the two sides in one part of the square. I wasn't over there, and the police started like divide the square.
Yeah.
So I was like trying to position myself on like the less chaotic side. I also want to see what's going on over there.
Right.
All of a sudden, I don't know what. People started like fighting, and then I don't know if it was a gun or like tear gas that went off. The people started running.
Flight.
But they were running the other way. They were running towards the presidential palace. And I was like, oh, they about to go break in and kill them.
They going nuts. So
I'm just like standing in the square, like watching everything unfold. All of a sudden, like convoys and motorcycle cops like flying down the road, all this crazy stuff. There's helicopters overhead and all this. It gets all wild. Then this local girl came up to me and she was like, are you from America? And she said it in English. I was like, yeah. She was like, oh. She started talking to me. She's like, hey, like, come with me. Like, we shouldn't stay here. We should leave. I was like, okay. Like, she seemed same age as me. She was nice, friendly. She was hardly 5 feet tall, so I wasn't really that intimidated by her. So I was like, okay. She's like, I go to school down here. I was like, all right. All right, Chris, your safety is just gone with the wind now. So
you really winging it on the safety side.
But it's my profession. My profession is winging it.
I know. Hey, you got to do it, man. You got to do what you got to do.
So I go, this girl takes me over to by her school where all students hang out. And this was actually one of the coolest nights of my life, on God. We go to this different part, like we walk a couple blocks. She's like, oh, like I'll show you downtown. I was like, okay. All these people are doing like traditional dance in this like this huge plaza with like fountains and stuff.
So the vibes totally changed. Like this is this sounds
it was like people doing local stuff on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like practicing their professional dance. It was like stomp the yard type stuff going on out there.
Yeah.
It was like all these different clubs and huge groups of people, like 50, like from groups of 10 to like groups of 100. So we're just like watching them, kind of just hanging out, like just like talking about like just talking, you know.
Right.
Super cool, like super laid back. I wasn't worried about anything back then. And then she was like, oh, like, do you want to go meet my friend over here by school? So we go walking through this park. It was like a bunch of young people like drinking and smoking and like being bad on the weekend.
Wow.
She's like, yeah, like right now this park is like fine. I was like, so do you guys come here and do this? Like you guys don't go to parties, huh? She's like, no, like sometimes we go to parties, but yeah, like a lot of people come here and do this. It felt like, you know, the part of the high school by those doors in front of the auditorium?
The egress?
No, up the hall from the egress.
Is that what you mean, where everyone used to smoke?
Right outside of the auditorium doors, where there's a side door straight to that side parking lot that the North Gym is in.
Oh, like the North Gym lobby?
Yeah, but the other side of that parking lot where the auditorium was.
I don't know what you're referring to, dude.
Where parents would walk in for band concerts.
You mean just like the lobby for the main auditorium?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Like back in the old days, like in Shaker, they used to smoke in that area, like the egress, and then that's exactly what I meant.
The vibes of that part of the building,
right?
That's how this park was. So it's pretty laid back. We like go meet her friend, and then they're like, "Hey, like, let's go to the bar." And I was like, "Yes." So we go back to the same dude. This was like, I'm telling you, this whole day was like some from Anthony Bourdain. The same square that was in chaos 2 hours ago with riot police and tear gas
was clear.
Also the square everyone goes out in at night. So it's like all these clubs are popping. Like it's like all these basement clubs and stuff. All like this whole square is popping.
Wow.
And so in South America they love American rock and roll. Like
I was gonna ask what type of music. Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Hey, I was living, bro. But they were playing like Arctic Monkeys and like Linkin Park and Green Day. So we were getting like beers that were a liter for like $1.50.
Wow.
It was a time. It was a time, bro. So yeah, we just hung out at the bar and just like spoke broken English and broken Spanish, and they know every American. If you heard them sing, you'd think they spoke perfect English, but they only know the words of the song.
That's dope. You know, a lot of people learn how to, you know, speak certain languages through media. So of course through songs, dude, I could sing a few songs, and I could sing the song in Chinese, but it's because I just love the song, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely get that. What were some great takeaways? So did you go to Machu Picchu? What were some like, what are your overall takeaways from Peru? And then what do you got planned, you know, later on?
So yeah, I went to Machu Picchu, dude. This Peru trip was honestly like, it was solid. There were a lot of parts. There were some parts that I was like could have been more adventurous. But honestly, like all in all, it was super dope. So yeah, I went to Machu Picchu. That was super cool. If anyone goes to Machu Picchu, hike Hayana Picchu, which is the mountain above Machu Picchu. I thought it was cooler. So you have to get up there early, wait for the fog to lift, and then you can see the whole city. The city is super full of tourists. It's hard to walk around in. Hard to get good pictures.
Right.
So if you go up to the mountain that I was on and look down at it, I think it's a lot cooler up there.
It looked so cool from the photos you took.
Yeah, so that was super. Machu Picchu was super dope. I went surfing. So after I was in Cusco for a week, I went back to Lima for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to this girl in our hostel at the bar. I was like, oh, I kind of want to go surfing, but like I don't know, like I'm not a good swimmer.
Right.
She was like, you don't have to be a great swimmer. Like you just stay on the board. She was like, I had a surf lesson today. And it was super cool. And so then when we're walking next day, we ended up going parasailing on this sketchy little go-kart with a giant fan on the back.
That's dope. Was that fun? Was that amazing?
It wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
After we took off and I was convinced that we weren't going to die.
Yeah.
It was actually super calm, but it was cool. Like just being above the water, like seeing the city.
Right.
It's funny, when we went, they thought me and her were married. I didn't have to sign any waiver. Only she signed a waiver. They also didn't give her a life jacket. They asked me if she spoke horrible Spanish. They asked me if she was a good swimmer. I said, yeah, because she said she used to be a lifeguard. So they didn't give her a life jacket, and we were above the ocean the whole time. Because I didn't realize they didn't give her a life jacket until they gave me one. I was like, oh my gosh, she doesn't have one. Like I just decided
Look down, hey, I cannot rock with that.
So we did that. That was cool. Then we ended up finding her surf instructor on the beach later, and my dude Francisco. And
like
later
movie,
that night,
man. Sounds like
later that night, Francisco took us out to this cow heart dinner.
Yeah.
It's called anticucho. So we went out, had some cow heart, some cow stomach too. I also had guinea pig and alpaca when I was there. It was all pretty good.
How was guinea pig? Yeah, I was about to ask.
Fine. Just a little sticky, but fine. It was really nothing crazy at all. So I go back to the surf lesson with Francisco. I book a 4-hour surf lesson. We go back, we're practicing, we're like getting all set up. We're like practicing on land. He's like, all right, like let's go. These waves, dude, I feel like I was in like the beginning of Surf's Up. Like Surf's Up, one of my favorite movies.
Chicken Joe.
These waves are breaking on the shore. These like 8-foot waves are slamming into the beach, just nonstop. And as we're walking, it's a stone beach down there too.
Yeah.
The weather, it's also like 65, 70 degrees and cloudy and foggy. It was like, I think it was like a true South American surf day. It was none of that
like
Huntington Beach.
Yeah, no, it seems like a dope surf day, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was for the first time ever going surfing, I'm 100% happy. I would not have wanted any other day. So we're like walking down the steps to the beach. He's like, hey, there's a lot of there's a lot of sea urchins here. So try not to walk, just float. I was like, how are we gonna get in the water if I can't walk in? I was like, what? So like as soon as we get like shin deep, he's like, put the board in, float. But first we had to wait for the break in the waves.
Yeah.
And so like I told him, I was like, Francisco, I'm not a good swimmer, dude. If I don't pop back up, come get me. He was like, oh, like I'll be right. He was like, I'll be right next to you. Like it'll be fine. We'll have fun. I was like, all right, like let's do it.
Cool. Yeah.
So, dude, I felt like in Surf's Up, in the beginning of Surf's Up, when Cody's paddling out and they're playing Holiday.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm paddling out in these 8-foot waves. And so it's like, right? So as you're going out, if you're paddling out and it's right about to break on you, you end up going like straight up the wave and then like popping up on the top of it.
Yeah.
So I remember the one wave, the first big one that I made it. So it's like we timed it well. So it's like a couple little ones. So I'm doing okay. I'm scared, honestly. Like I'm super nervous.
Yeah.
So we're going. The first big one's coming. Francisco's like, paddle faster. He's like, get on top of it. Go. So I'm like, I'm digging, dude. I'm like, and then sheer vertical. I was like, oh my God. Then pop over the top. I was like, whoa, like that was crazy. And at that point, I was like, I'm surfing in South America. I was like, I'm surfing in South America right now. And I just felt like Cody in the beginning of Surf's Up. I was singing Holiday in my head. I was like, dude, like this is crazy.
It's amazing.
And so we got out to where before they were breaking. He's like, hey, like how you doing? I was like, I'm doing good, I guess. I got pummeled by one wave. It was not nice. I got slammed. And then I got up. I was like, Francisco was like, get back on the board, because the waves are just coming.
Right.
That was the first time I was in the ocean. I was like, wow, the waves never, ever, ever stop.
Yeah, dude.
So I get back on the board, just keep going. We make it out past the break. And yeah, I mean, I tried to catch a couple. I bodyboarded one. They were going so fast. Like I was bodyboarding it. And I should have went to try to stand up. I was so amazed that I was honestly riding the wave and how fast it was going. I just rode it all the way into the shore. And then Francisco was like, why didn't you stand up? I was like, Francisco, I was in awe of what was going on.
You were just having fun.
Like that was crazy.
He
was like, solid. Like next time, try to stand up. I was like, all right, I got you. So we're just out there for probably an hour. And, I tried to catch a couple. There was a bunch of other people out there too. I was like trying to stand up, bit it a few times. Then we went back in to take a break. I was gassed, bro. I was gassed.
I bet.
Like, he was like, we were practicing like the moves and stuff on land. I could hardly do a push-up. I was like, Francisco. And by then, dude, the waves were getting nuts. They were like coming at each other perpendicular, like in the bay. And like breaking,
you exert a lot of energy when you're in the water. Like, yeah, dude.
Yeah,
you're
like,
done. You're toasted.
It was nuts, dude. The waves were breaking like together and like chaos. I was like, Francisco, I'm gonna be straight with you, bro. I know I booked a 4-hour lesson. I'll pay you for 4 hours, but I can't go back out, bro. Like I was like, if I go back out, I'm gonna be a jeopardy to my safety and yours, dude. Like straight up. He was like, all right, man. Like that's fine. Like that's fine. Like it's good you know your limits. Like. He was like, well, did you have fun so far? I was like, Francisco, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. Of course I had fun.
So you're going to get into it some more?
I want to so bad, dude. I want to go back to South America and surf.
Word. Maybe next time I should go with you, man. We should go film, bro. I think we could have an amazing time. We could finally do what we wanted to do. What you got planned in the future, bro?
I don't know. When I was down there, I met a friend that lives in Argentina. I kind of want to go down to Argentina, see what's popping down there. I really want to go. I really want to do a trip to the Middle East, but that's going to be a lot of money. Also, I just saw on TV, this guy went to the stands. He went to like Kazakhstan, all these different stands, like north between Afghanistan and Russia.
Yeah.
Those seem kind of cool. I don't know, man. Like I still want to go do a road trip down to 101 in Cali. I still want to go to the Pacific Northwest. It's really going to be whatever I get the opportunity to do, whatever I get the time, however much money I got is going to dictate what I do and where I go.
Yeah, dude. We need to get on that Anthony Bourdain. Like, I think we'd have amazing shows. I think that's like what our main goal for What's Out is, to be able to do some type of show like that and be able to fund that. But that would be amazing. And
dude, after this Peru trip, I'm pretty set. I was like, you know what? Like, there's a whole world to see. There's a whole, like, after, and I only went to one country.
Right.
And did all this wild stuff in one country and like had this wild adventure. I was like, I cannot stop. Like, I have to go do more. I was like, everyone needs to come see this and do this.
Right.
Like, cause dude, it really wasn't surfing. It was just like such a, I guess it was like a life changing event. It was just like everything, dude. Like trying to catch the bus. While I was in Cusco, I was trying to catch these buses to these different like ruins, and it was like no, like none of the locals, dude. I was like that tourist in a small town, like asking, like speaking horrible Spanish, asking where the bus stop was as the bus is going by. It's like the bus goes by, I'm not at the right stop. I go to where the bus stopped the last time. It stopped somewhere else. Like it was like the episode of SpongeBob when he's trying to get out of Glove World.
You stuck at rock bottom.
Yes, I was stuck in rock bottom, bro, like trying to find the bus. And it was just all that kind of stuff. It was all just super super cool. So I mean, all in all, it was a super solid trip. I had a great time. I love South America. Mr. Berger told us in high school. He said, "Chris, South America is a great place to go while you're young because it's cheap and it's a little bit sporty." So I 100% believe that. I want to go to all South America now, but now I'm like, if I got money, I should go to a different continent. So, well, like I said, it's just gonna be however I'm gonna play the hand I'm dealt. See how it goes.
I feel that. So, hey man, Chris, you got any shout outs, anything for your social, anything like that?
Not really right now. I've just been keeping my head down, grinding. I'm about to go to this Odessa concert tonight. So, hey, I'm just living these days, man. Just living simply.
I feel you on that one. Well, yo, it's been X. Thanks to the boy Chris. We are gonna do more of this. We had a few podcasts that just never finished up. We never were able to finish it up. We finally got it done. This What's Out. Peace out, you guys.
Peace.